broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
I love that they kept our song.
I know.
I appreciate that because we're happy. Hey everyone, welcome to the casting call where we give you tips on how to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. I am your host Tony Moore, and I am joined by my lovely co-host. Starting to my far left, we have.
I'm Lee Epstein. Hey.
Lee, you just added the Michael to your name. That's real, that's real LA actor of you.
I know. That's why I was so embarrassed to say it here with this crowd.
Hi, my name is Lee Michael.
I know,
but you can't just be Lee.
I know.
Be Lee Michael.
Okay, guys.
But I want to tell you why we're having "Happy" be the song, because they thought if they put on a Beyonce song that Tony would just take the show a whole new direction and dance for the whole show.
He probably would.
Because if you haven't seen Tony Moore dance to Beyonce on Ellen, you should watch it.
Oh yeah, that was cute.
I mean, I do mean Beyonce, not to toot my own horn.
Dude, I was just tooting your horn. You didn't even ask me to, and then I got you. I'm promoting you.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Ellen, if you're watching.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're here too? Oh, sorry.
And of course, we also have the very lovely and beautiful and talented.
Oh, yeah, you better.
Yeah, but she never danced on. Oh, here, I'll give you. Go ahead. Say your name. Go ahead.
Lina Green. Gosh, guys.
In her wardrobe that she stole from set today.
I did not steal it. Stop.
You did.
Stop it.
Don't act like you didn't steal it. And of course, joining us today, we have two very special guests. We have no stranger to the casting call. He was with us long before, and he's back again doing this. The founder and creator of Bot Creative, Mr. Chad Ritterbach. How are you?
Good. Hi, guys. How are you?
Yay!
Thanks for having me back.
Thank you for coming back.
You're welcome.
Huge crowd in the studio today.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, tons of people. And of course, on the couch, we have a representative from casting networks. You actors here in LA know it more as LA Casting. We have Mr. Mike Danner here. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good
Is that the casting couch?
This is where the magic.
Maybe we should.
For the next 45 minutes, yes.
But it is not the casting couch as we know of the casting couch.
Okay, we won't talk about that.
That's a different show.
You don't know what that is.
Completely different show.
Pre-internet.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
Well, happy Martin Luther King Day, y'all.
Yay.
Yeah.
I felt it
Happy
appropriate
MLK
to say that. Yeah, because, he had a dream, we have a dream, so it all coincides, doesn't it?
Correct.
See?
Thank
and
you.
we're all living our dream. At least
Yeah.
I hope y'all are living y'all's dream, because I'm trying to live mine.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so, Chad, you've been with us before.
Yes.
And you talked a little bit about how you got into casting.
Correct.
Let's reiterate to those who are just joining us now for the newly reinvented The Casting Call. Tell us about Bot Creative, how you started, how you got into this crazy mad world of casting.
Oh, you want to hear that again?
Yeah, why not?
We love it.
We loved this story the first time so much.
Well,
and I wasn't here, so come on.
Great. So, Lee,
Lee Michael.
here's your tutorial.
Lee Michael has to.
Oh,
has
Lee
to-
Michael, yes.
Lee Michael.
We'll take a long story kind of short because we don't have that much time.
Okay.
I did start in this industry by being a model agent for Elite Models in LA, transferred to Elite Miami in like 2002 to coordinate the Elite Model look of the year. Was in Miami for about 6 months and got a little claustrophobic on the beach. Oh. And I was really young when I started, 21. And I was in charge of new faces. And I just felt that it wasn't the time for me to help other people pursue their dreams and try to push very young models in directions that they weren't sure they wanted to go. I think I was at the point where I needed to facilitate what I wanted to do for my own career.
Yeah.
And there was a casting director that always hired my models for different music videos and commercials and film that I had a really great relationship with. So after 6 months in Miami, I came back to LA. and started as her assistant, became an associate, and became a partner. And then 7 years ago, I started Bach Creative, which was my own casting company, mainly focusing on commercial casting, film. I've got a film with theatrical release coming out in the next month or so.
Yay!
Yay for that. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's called The Phoenix Incident. So when it does come out in theaters, please go see it. It's very awesome. And I also do music video and fashion print in every major city. But I home and my base is here in Los Angeles.
Nice.
Nice.
And then, not leaving Mike out, Mike, you are joining us from Casting Networks.
That's right, yeah.
Better known to us LA actors as LA Casting.
Right.
Mike, what do you do exactly at Casting Networks for those who are probably wondering?
Sure, yeah. So I've been with Casting Networks for about 4.5 years, and my job is basically to help casting directors with the software. So Chad or other people like Chad will call me and say, hey, I don't know how to do this, and I will walk them through. Or, hey, this is broken, and I will hopefully help them fix it.
Come fix it.
When I came into the
Mike,
studio,
could you
and
come
Mike
fix
said,
Hold their hand
literally,
through
when
it
Mike said,
anyway.
I'm Mike from Casting Networks, I was like, you're the Mike from Casting Networks?
That's right, yeah.
Because I talked to you for sure on the phone. He can fix anything.
I can fix as
Or-
much as I can
yeah.
fix, yeah.
Or he'll just tell you, like, you're screwed.
Or I can get it to the people who can fix
No, he
it, which
does.
is a lot of the time.
Super
so.
helpful.
I've never seen
Thank
him
you,
sweat. I've never seen him sweat.
He looks
Me,
pretty
on the
cool.
other hand,
Cool as a cucumber
Pretty cool
kind of
right
guy. Yeah. It's very cold in here, so I'm not going to sweat today.
Lee Michael, you were just tooting everybody's horn today. You're giving everyone praise and everyone. Well, I mean,
I know what you
tutor to
mean.
boot it, right?
Yeah, but you know,
always
why
a
not?
toot.
Like, I think you should give people genuine
Props.
compliments when they do good things.
I appreciate
Your
you.
eloquence is
Appreciate
really
that
cool.
way.
I think we should, and I know you're a humble guy. You're not going to self-promote it here. Well, until after I brought it up, and then you were happy too. But, I got to help you out, man. That
I
was
appreciate
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with LA Casting, LA Casting is the website in which you submit for all different types of work. You can do student films, there's commercials, there are other indie projects on there, all different types of theater projects. And that's basically what any actor will use in order to submit
Self-submit.
for work. So self-submit for work. Now, if you're looking to be the next co-star, guest star on like Glee or some other hit show, that ain't on there. So I don't want to get your hopes up. But anything else that you can self-submit for is generally on LA Casting.
Well, maybe some specialty. If y'all are looking like for specialty projects, they might put it on LA Casting.
Yeah, like
Might.
I've seen stuff for, but it's very specific
Yeah, it
that
has to be
they're
specific.
looking for. Yeah,
Yeah,
or
so
it's-
they'll go to LA Casting because they need something so specific.
yeah, or sometimes under like soaps put under 5 roles
Yeah.
on LA Casting sometimes. So I've submitted for a few. So yeah,
I would say
ahead.
that commercials are kind of the
main.
big thing.
Yeah.
Most commercials
80%?
in LA.
Yeah.
Maybe higher than that.
Really?
I don't want to give any wrong numbers, but a lot of commercials. Yeah.
So it's very important if you are pursuing a career in this field, you definitely need a casting network or LA Casting profile set
Yeah,
up.
it's not hard to sign up on it. I mean, maybe you could walk us through some of the steps of like signing up. Are we doing that later? Are we doing that now? The signing up on LA Casting? Because I just really want people to understand like the process. Some people get overwhelmed when you say, well, you got to sign up on this, and they're like, that's overwhelming.
Well,
Yeah.
LA Casting is definitely one that is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You definitely need to have and should do. And just to clarify the Casting Network's LA Casting thing, Mike, tell me if I get this right. LA Casting is only for things in Southern California?
Yes.
And everything else, San Francisco has its own?
SF Casting, LA Casting, and
And
then everything else in the United States is castingnetworks.com.
Okay.
See,
So if
I
you're
know-
looking for work outside of LA, like in New York, say, you would also need to be on Casting Networks
Yes.
with a
Yeah.
separate login.
Separate login.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
I love when we get signs from the back and you have to stop and read like, what's that?
I'm like,
Stop.
Well, we're good. So, Chad, you being a casting director, obviously use LA Casting a lot.
Correct.
When it comes to LA Casting and when you put a submission out, I've been told that as soon as you see that submission comes into your email, like you have to submit quickly because casting directors are going through it like within the next hour. Like,
I would definitely recommend that. I mean, there are times when we just because of technology, we don't have the prep time or the 2 or 3 days of prep time that it takes to actually prep a job. I'll get a job from a producer at like 3 p.m. and that producer will want me to cast the very next day. So I get the job at 3 p.m. The time that I get it out is within 30 minutes to an hour on LA Casting. And either if you publicly submit yourself or you have an agent and your agent is submitting you, they only have a very small window of time for a project like that within the next 2 hours. So automatically, I'm getting submissions as quickly as possible. I know that most talent, it would have to be a discussion with your agency, but I think agencies are allowing the talent to self-submit themselves for the project. And if they do get a callback or if they book the project, they give it back to the agency so that the agency goes through and deals with all the contracts and so forth. But because an agent might not be at a desk for the next hour and a half, might be in a meeting, and then I've got a schedule that I've got to get out by 5 p.m. for me to have a full day of session the very next day. So it's very important that right when it comes through, if you feel that you're right for it and you do have a public account with LA Casting, to submit yourself right away.
What would be like the rule of thumbs? Like you said, like maybe like by 5 p.m., but like if an actor didn't have the time. Like
I'd say instant, because there's so many projects that come out on LA Casting. It's kind of like it's an everyday person kind of checking their email. You kind of want to get it in and out as quickly as possible.
But do y'all go back and check it like
the next day?
Yeah, like sometimes if you want.
I always refresh. I probably refresh every 5 minutes. So yes, I do go back and check and go through and basically fine tooth comb the actual submissions on to who I feel are right. And then there are times where I obviously select, not obviously, but I go through and select a big group, and then I know that I can't actually see 200. So I've got to narrow it down to 150. So I go back through and I've got to take about 50 out. So that's kind of where
is it
the ouch
kind of
is.
quick in terms of just eliminating the ones who don't fit? Do you get a lot of those? Like in each submission, are you seeing you're looking for something specific and there's a few, let's say 50 that you're like, no, this is obviously not right? Or is it not that easy?
I think with the years that LA Casting has grown, unless it's an agent that kind of doesn't understand specifically what you're looking for, very rarely do I see something that completely does not fit. I've gotten that before.
That's probably more from the self-submissions than the agency submissions.
I've seen it on both. But with LA Casting and you having a public account on LA Casting, it filters the system so it doesn't actually send somebody a project that they're not right for.
Yeah, if you
correct?
fit the specs, you'll get it. If you don't, then you're not going to see it. It's not going to be clogging up your.
Does that only work if you put the fit me for it? Because
Rolls
Yeah,
that
I
fit
mean,
me.
rolls that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you fill out kind of what your specifications are, you'll get the projects that fit you.
So now, would you recommend, in terms of what Chad was just saying about the immediacy of it all, that you have email alerts set so that you get all the emails to you anytime that any project comes out that does fit your specs?
Oh, correct.
It is a lot of email, but
That's a lot of emails.
it's smart. Unless it's either that or kind of just be on the website.
Refreshing.
Yeah.
Now, is there, Mike, I don't know if you know this or not, but is there like a certain time that like suddenly the submissions come out? Because I know other similar systems, they have like certain times where a certain group of submissions come out. With LA Casting or Casting Networks, is there a certain time where submissions come out, or do you get submissions from casting directors and then it just goes out whenever you get that submission?
Yeah,
and
that's
they
a
fit them?
great question. I mean, from what I've witnessed, is it's kind of just like constant.
Sporadic.
Yeah,
Seems that
sometimes
way.
it's a lot, sometimes it's not, and it kind of varies.
So you gotta make sure you're paying attention all throughout the day.
Yeah.
So that you don't miss that.
It's like a job. a
I
full-time
usually
job.
time myself on when I put my breakdowns out. I feel that most commercial agents get in at 10 a.m. So I'll wake up at like 7, at 8, type out my breakdown, but I actually won't submit it out till about 10:15.
Oh, wow.
So
Because then
that
it will
I
be
know
lower
it's
down.
fresh.
Exactly.
If I need instant response, it's when the agents are actually really in front of their desktops and they're. And it's the first that
You'll
they
see it at the top, yeah. That makes
or
sense.
if I get it later on in the day, I make sure that they're kind of back from lunch.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to posting a breakdown at 12 or 1.
Right.
Because then they get back from lunch and they're inundated. And if I need an instant response, somewhere around like a 2 p.m. But myself, there's a lot of commercial casting directors that work through different cities and different countries.
Yeah.
And they're casting projects in LA. So you post whenever you need to post and you keep refreshing whenever you need to refresh. So there's no like, those are the timings when I'm in Los Angeles, or I know the times where I need the quickest response. I wait.
Yeah.
Do you prefer the agency submission over the self submission? Would you pick?
There's no preference.
There's no preference. So
I do have relationships with agencies in Los Angeles because I've been in this business for over a decade, and there are favorites that actually work with me, that I'm going to work with them, and that I trust. I trust their submissions, and I know who's at the agency actually making those submissions, and that I'm going to get the best from those specific agents. But if whether you publicly submit yourself or you're with an agent, if I think that you're right for the role, I'm going to bring you in.
So that comes up on the submission.
I will know, instantly.
Or self-submission, or does it just one thing? It does?
You can tell the difference, but you're just looking for the right person, so it doesn't really matter to you so much.
But for the most part, I've got great relationships with every single agency in Los Angeles. So if I see that the agency submitted you, I'm not going to select you publicly, because I'm going to want everything to go through the agency.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get to.
Right.
That. If you're like submitting yourself and your agent submitting yourself, do you get 2 submissions, or is it just one submission?
You'll get one. I mean, it's a casting director that's making the selection. But keep in mind, sometimes you'll get 4 submissions on one person, because they've got a print agent, they've got a commercial agent, they've got a theatrical agent, and they're publicly submitting themselves. So sometimes you see the 4 same headshots all in a row.
So you can get like a double, triple, quadruple submission.
Yeah, of course. That's not uncommon.
Now, a question for you, Mike, regarding casting networks.
Sure.
When you are an actor that does have the commercial agent, the theatrical agent, and all different types of agents, do you have to have different accounts with casting networks per agency?
Yeah, agents can't share accounts. So if I have a print agent and a theatrical agent, a commercial agent, that's got to be 3 separate profiles. However, if I'm submitting myself to a project, I can do that with any of those accounts.
Yeah. I feel like that can get confusing.
It is confusing.
It can't, but there's dialogue that the agents keep open. And there's some actors and models that have dance agents. So if it's a dance project, there's communication within the agencies that only the dance agency is allowed to submit on a dance project.
Okay.
But
Or if it is commercial, the dance agency cannot submit on the commercial unless there's dancing in the commercial. It gets kind of,
Yeah.
but
It's a little
they all definitely discuss within each other on who's to submit and who's to take the actual booking.
Oh, okay.
what I'm confused about, is there a self-submission on there? Because to self-submit, you have to go through your agency,
Not
right?
if you, no.
If you, but there's no self-submission for
You can submit
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
You can have a personal profile, which means you're not represented by an agent or a manager.
Oh, so that's something different.
That's something different. But you
Okay.
can also, if I'm represented, I can still submit myself even though that account is represented by an agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't have, speaking about agency and I guess union, kind of, they're different, but definitely parts of the puzzle here. So
Right.
if a person does not have an agent, is non-union, let's take out union for a second. If a person is not represented, does not have an agent,
Okay.
they should submit themselves. LA Casting is
yeah.
perfect for people like
I think
that, right?
every single actor in Los Angeles that's trying to work should have a public account and should be able to submit themselves publicly.
And then in terms of union in commercials, if you see a listing that's SAG-AFTRA for a commercial and you're not union, should you be submitting yourself for that?
I honestly think you should submit yourself for that. Myself as a casting director, I will know whether you're union or not by your submission. But there's so many instances where, like, if you've got a special skill or you look like you could be the son of the union actress that I am hiring, there can always be an excuse or a Taft-Hartley that we can do to actually get you into the job. So be proactive, and even if it is a union project and you're non-union, of course submit yourself.
And that's probably a good way to
Because we
get
know,
union.
and we know that we're going to bring you in regardless of your union status or not. That's our decision.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
And that works the same. I know everyone is, when they're in the union, they're like, no, you shouldn't submit to any non-union. But sometimes you just got to work.
Well, and there's also a lot of non-union foreign projects that don't have any. I mean, it's a little loose where you can kind of, be you're your own boss,
Yeah.
in the field that you're in. So there's some, there's things out there that you're able to do without.
Because they're not in conflict with the union rules because they're not
Correct.
American.
Okay. That's good.
Interesting.
Now, I have heard that some
Trying
people...
to help us out here politically correctly, yeah.
That some people, like when it is a non-union project and they are union, they will write in the notes, like, okay to work non-union? Like, is that something
Yeah,
that
people can
someone
note
should
that.
do?
They can note that. There's also, there's some people that don't book a lot of SAG work, and they are SAG members. So if there's a big non-union project that comes up that's paying a high dollar amount, and they submit for the project and they might get cast, they're able to do what's called FICOR, which is financial core, through the SAG union, just so that they're able to do both union and non-union work.
If they're not signed up beforehand to be FICOR,
Right.
Can they still be booked on that project, or do they have to go through a process?
Well, I'm not an affiliate of the union, so I really can't answer that.
Okay.
And I don't know what that process
Yeah.
is.
Bob
I just know what they're,
That seems like a murky water.
Yeah.
it's a gray area. But and there's
But basically,
There's a lot.
if you are non-union, you should be submitting for everything. And if you're union, then you have to
I
make
would
the
if
call.
I was an actor.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've been talking
But
a
I'm
lot.
better behind the camera instead of in front of.
We've been talking a lot about submissions and submitting on LA Casting, and luckily Chad and Mike have brought in what they see when they put out a submission on LA Casting or Casting Networks. So we're actually going to take a look at that, and Chad's going to walk us through his selection process. If you guys are watching us live, I want to remind you that we are taking your questions. So you can feel free to tweet me at Lounging with Tony. You can tweet Lina
At just Lina Green.
or Lee Michael at
Lee M. Epstein.
There we go. So if you have a question, feel free to tweet us, and we'll be glad to get your question answered. So now we are taking a look at basically what you see.
Project X.
Project X. This is totally made up. So don't go to Casting Network trying to find Project X.
I don't think they would find it.
Good.
I think this is
I've
locked
seen
down
Project
for a
X
demo.
quite a bit on Casting Networks in my
I
time.
used it.
So.
Project.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, but they may look at, ooh, I saw Chad on the casting call, and
Yeah,
look, it's
this
me.
is
I was
not
listening.
a real job, everyone.
Yeah, it's not a real job, but he brought it in just so you guys can get an idea of what it's like when you submit. So, tell us about the submission that you have put out for Project X.
Okay, great. Well, this is a generic commercial casting where I'm seeking a mom and a dad. This is something that I would type up, mother 25 to 45, all ethnicities. So if you're within any ethnicity and you're 25 to 45, this would come publicly directly to your email.
Correct.
Because you'd fit the specs.
Yeah.
And you're, we post a description in what a director is actually looking for, the aspirational mom type with excellent improv skills and comedic timing. That comes really important when we start going into the submission process. So if you go ahead and click the number for me, we'll go into these submissions that are right here.
Yeah.
There we
Now,
go.
for this particular submission, you have 26, but normally you will get thousands of submissions sometimes, won't you?
I will tell you, this is a national network commercial, all ethnicities mom for J.C. Penney or a Kmart spot. I can get up to 5,000 submissions by the end of the day.
Wow.
But that's pretty
Yeah.
broad. I mean, you have a 20-year age
It's
range, it's any ethnicity. I mean, that could be like
broad.
any woman.
And very, it could be very intimidating and kind of scary. This is why I stress a really great headshot, because if you're going through those numbers, those 3,000 to 5,000, I do have options to see your photos under the camera. If you go ahead and click on the camera, I've got options to see different looks that a mom may have, and I'm able to kind of click through and decide whether or not this is the type of mother that I'm looking for.
Young mom.
It's a sexy mom.
Yeah.
That is a sexy mom. I can also go into her resume skills, that is the very top icon up top here, to see one thing I'm going to look for is, does she have comedic timing? I can look at her experience, her theater and dance ability, but if I go all the way down to the bottom, if I'm scrolling all the way down to the bottom, I'll look at some of her training. I see some improv here.
We grew up in the same place, she and I.
Oh,
It's not important right now.
maybe comedic timing that's also a dancer, and she's got hip hop and ballet experience. So this woman I would actually select.
That's so important that you went through that, like that you're going through the resumes. And
But you're not going to click on 3,000 of
I
those.
will not. And if it's a generic mom for a Kmart or a JCPenney where they don't need improbability, if it's not something specific, then I'm really casting upon a look.
Yeah.
So So take us through
Yeah.
this initial like seeing of the headshot. So
Great.
we have these moms, and if we can scroll down, you're kind of just viewing all the headshots and submissions that you have. What are the things that you are looking for and things that will pop out to you that will make you then click on more pictures and then look at their resume?
Well, this job is specific to improv and comedy timing, so I seriously would go through every single resume.
Wow.
Just scroll to the very end to see that they've got that.
Okay.
I will not bring them in if they do not
Have
have
any sort of-
comedic or improv timing.
So it's important to take those improv classes and
It's
have them
definitely
listed on your
important.
resume.
Yeah.
Because you're not just going to take their word for it. You need to see something.
I've
on
done that
paper.
before, and
They're not funny, and they have bad timing.
And I,
so this is specific to what I'm looking for. So I will go through skills. This would not be just based off of a look.
interesting.
Now, I also notice here that they have notes
Yes.
in there. Like this one girl, Andrea, the next one over.
Yeah.
She's noted that she
So
has
this
great improv
helps me a
skills.
lot in some breakdowns that I put. Please note either please note specific skills, or this helps me. So I don't have to scroll to the very, very end. If trained at so and so.
Okay.
Part of improv group of.
Like the most relevant part of the resume, so you don't have to sift through all of it. Yeah.
So to be clear, that's the submission note when you submit.
Yeah, publicly,
When it says,
if
"Do you
she
wanna-"
submits herself, she will add this note for me.
Okay.
So that she's got a better chance of getting in.
Yeah.
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 It just, at the very
The
least, it sticks
process
out. You're
is
looking
so
at so
quick.
many, and you're
Oh,
going
yeah.
so quickly. There's a little note that at least catches your eye to at least check it out to read it.
Right. And I'll have jobs where I'm looking for pro skater, and it's like 5 years. They'll give specifics as to how long they've been skating for, or if they've gone to X Games,
Yeah.
or and that helps me a great deal, contingent on the numbers that I look at
Now, is there
on
any
any given project.
Is there any advice to, because when you have your casting network's profile, you can upload a lot of different pictures, but when you
can.
actually submit, you select the photo that obviously you would want to see first.
Correct.
Like, how important is it to make sure that you have a photo that represents, what it is that you're looking for? So you're looking for
It's
the aspirational mom.
99% of the submission process.
Yeah.
And all of these images look really, really great.
Even the one with no smiling, because you know how they say for commercials, they want you to smile. Is that okay?
They do, but contingent on if I know that I'm looking for a pretty mother that photographs well.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that within that woman's headshot.
Okay.
And when they say aspirational, you kind of have to go through and look for really, really great smiles.
Yeah.
So let's make some. Can we make some selections on some people that you would
Let's go
bring
ahead
in?
and select Nadine.
So, and then when you select, these numbers
So-
here represent.
Well, 1 through 5, these numbers represent many different things. On my end, within Bach Creative, I give all my selections a 1. Mm-hmm. So you can go ahead and select 1. If I've got an associate and or a director that's looking through my submissions as well, I give my director the number 4. So
Okay.
only my director uses number 4.
Okay.
Okay.
My associate, I give the number 2
Okay.
to. So when I filter through, I can schedule them differently. I can schedule all my selections first throughout the day. I can schedule my director's selections. I can schedule all number 4s in the afternoon time when my director's there for a director's session, so he gets to see his selects versus my selects. So these are just numbers that you can give your team to kind of go through, and specifically, or if I kind of like this girl, I might give her a number 3. So if I'm doing 2 days on the young aspirational mother, my first day would be my first selections, my second selections, and kind of my backup moms.
Yeah.
So
The
it's
ones that
not
I'm
1
just
to
kind of
5.
like, it could be many different things. It could be
Right.
just for me personally.
You could rank them 1 to
Or-
5,
yeah.
but you use it this way in your office, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Does the director see this as well when they're going? This is something that they have access
For
to.
the most part, it's contingent on the relationship that you have with your director.
Okay.
I rarely this is my work and my process. The director comes in after I've done like a first or second call.
Okay.
And then schedules callbacks and so forth. Very rarely do I have a director look at any of this.
Okay.
Now,
That's what you're here for.
Yeah, that's kind of my job. I'm pretty much the middleman in all of this.
Now, Mike, when someone is setting up their profile and they are adding so many different pictures, is there a limit to pictures that they can add? Do you know?
If there is a limit, it's really high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chad, you can probably answer.
It's
You don't
probably
want to.
50 to 75.
Yeah, but I mean, Chad, you can probably answer. Like, you don't want to be looking at 50.
Yeah,
photos,
let's click
right?
on Andrea Bogart's photo options. For me, I think any more than 5 is very distracting.
Oh wow.
I personally, and I am a casting director speaking solely upon what I see and what I need to see. But any more than about 5 or 6, I kind of get a feeling of what she looks like. So I don't need to see her in a nurse's uniform if she wants to be a nurse, a construction worker, or
Tennis
holding
racket.
a mobile phone. I do a lot of sports jobs, and those things I definitely want to see if you're very good at a specific sport or action. We do like to look for action shots. If I'm casting for surfers, I definitely want to see a shot. I mean, she's got a shot right here of a surfboard, which kind of, that doesn't really state that she's a surfer. Kind of gets her
But
in.
she
But if I'm
carries a
looking
surfboard.
for a real surfer, a lot of real surfers will get a photograph of them actually on the wave.
Yeah.
And that's when I know that, this is exactly the one that I'm going to bring in, because I don't have a lot of time to ask, just kind of go through.
So, an actor who does a specialty sport should
You want an
definitely have a
image. You
picture
definitely
of
want a photograph of it.
that.
If you're a stilt walker, if you're a clown, we definitely want to. If you're a fire eater, these are things that are specific in what we're casting for. I've got a director looking for fire eaters, and I definitely want to see an image of that.
You might want to add a video of that as well if you can do it.
Yeah, you can actually add reel and video footage on, and
No.
we can.
Yeah.
I don't know if these are
I was just
active,
gonna
but we
say.
can we can find out if we press the play button on either one of these women. There was an error loading. Well, let's try the commercial monologue here. Here, let's see.
Go back to,
Nadine.
and then click
Yeah,
on
try this
commercial.
Oh,
no.
Go back.
And then click
Here-
on commercial
right here.
monologue. Yeah.
Yeah,
see
Play
if
to
this-
play.
Since
Yeah.
it's a
Try.
demo
Let's try
account,
the
it might
first
be-
girl and see if hers will play.
That's the one she just did.
Yeah, it's just a
it does.
She
demo.
just did that one.
Well, if this was not a demo, they'd have a reel here where they can add different pieces of projects that they've done.
Now,
So if I don't have time to actually bring them in for an audition, at least I know what they look like on camera and how they act.
And that would help you too with the comedic timing and
Oh, of
if they have like
course, yeah.
sort of improv skills and stuff like that as well.
Of course. Even if it's your own content, even if it's something that you shoot inside of your, for lack of a better word, inside of your closet, and it's funny stuff. Like you want to be able to advertise yourself in this business as much as possible.
So even for commercials, it's good to have a reel online because no one actually thinks that you'll have time to go through and look at these reels and resumes.
Most of the time we don't, but you'd be surprised and shocked at the time that we do.
Yeah.
And if it's something very specific that we're looking for, we can use a filtration system that's looking for, okay, I need an ice skating mom that's between 40 and 50, that's Caucasian. And I'll have a producer call me the night of, and he needs a mom on set by like 6 a.m. If I have a mom that's between 40 and 50 and she's got a reel of her ice skating, done.
Yeah.
But you on the casting director side can also filter it. You're saying you can look for those specs.
Oh yeah.
So
And
you can
only those
find-
will actually pop up. It's an excellent system, and frankly, one of the only systems that I use in Los Angeles is LA Casting.
Oh, you don't use Actors Access? Or?
I rarely use any other service unless it's like episodic or so forth, but I don't cast a lot of that.
Okay.
I'd say 80% of my business is commercial casting.
Okay.
It's
And
not-
this is the mainframe that, this is my one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So,
So let's go to the dad submissions.
oh yeah, of course. So we can go back into overview here. We can click on dad. Oh, she's very knowledgeable.
That's
back
good.
there.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so-
advanced LA
Yeah.
casting right there.
So now,
nice dad
basically
pics.
for the dad, you're
It's very
looking
user friendly, you know.
for the dads. You're
Yes.
looking for. Tell us exactly what you're looking for in the dads. Like what's the submission that went
here
out
we
for
go.
that?
It's a guy next door, which you really have to have a discussion with your director, because there's sometimes where I get, okay, I want the mom to be modelly, but not too modelly, and you're like, well, okay, what exactly does that mean? And I've gone through and done jobs where I've brought in moms that weren't too modelly, and at the end of the job, the director's like, well, where are the models? So it's you have to have this rapport with whoever you're casting for of exactly what it is that they are looking for, so that you're very specific. But commercially, unless it's like average Joe next door, you're gonna want somebody attractive in some sort of manner that presents himself well on camera. Unless it's like I'm looking those NyQuil spots. It's like everyday dad that's snoring in a bed that's like got kind of a pot belly. Like it's gonna be specific to how real you want that individual.
So then let's take a look at the submissions that you have and just walk us through. We have.
They all
Well,
look
this is
like
what we're
models.
looking for is like a very dry sense of humor easily. So it's not specific to improv or comedy. And I'm a very, I do this photographically. So I kind of play the match game of kind of moms that I select first. And then I'll be like, okay, well, Ben would be great with like Nicole and.
Okay. So then you would put a 1 with Ben?
I'd put a 1 with Ben.
Okay.
I'd probably put a 1 with Patrick.
Okay.
And we can scroll down a bit if we can.
He's some hot dads right here.
Carlos Rodriguez.
Looks like he's 12.
Kevin Stevens is a son, not a dad, okay?
No, Tyson.
Yeah, Kevin Stevens probably publicly submitted himself. Let's do Greg Wilkes.
Greg.
Greg, right
one
here.
on Greg.
There's also, and not that you need to know this, but there's a simple CB button here that I use as my callbacks.
Okay.
After their first session, if I'm ready to call them back, and they've gotten approval by the powers that be to come back into the room, that's what I use that for.
That's just for marking for you internally, though, knowing.
Let's go ahead and, you know what, let's go back. Let me explain these different icons.
Yeah.
The cameras for photos that we've already seen. There's a little heart there where I have a favorites file.
No.
So if I heart that individual and I want to bring them in often, or there's something about them that's specific, I can add them to a favorites file.
And that stays in your file for.
Yeah, and then I've got a plus sign where I can add them into another project that I'm working on. And or if I've got an arrow button here, if I don't think they're right for the dad role, but maybe a son role, I can move them into a different role for the very same project.
So that's why when you see a submission, sometimes it says don't double submit, like just to submit for one, because then if they think that you work in a different one, they can just easily move you
Contingent
to that.
on how, you know what?
Yeah, that's what
It's fine to submit for different roles within the same project. Because I can be on dad role and I have my associate on mom role. Sometimes I don't have time to view both. So if I don't have time to move you, and I've trained my associates' eyes to be just like mine, so they know exactly what it is that I'm looking for specifically for the project, that they're able to select exactly what I'm looking for. So you can double submit yourself to different roles in the same project.
So
It's
what do you
fine.
think? So what is it? Can you explain what it means when people say do not double submit?
Do
Are they
not-
saying
oh.
don't have the agent and the client submit themselves both?
Either
or?
that, or there's sometimes a breakdown will be on multi systems. If you've got a breakdown on one system and then you come to Casting Networks, LA Casting, you wouldn't want to double submit on the project because there's another service that you might have already submitted yourself on.
That's interesting because we don't know like if our agent is submitting us for something and
No,
then
you
we're
don't.
submitting it. So
You should ask them.
Well, sometimes, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've already been submitted to that project, it'll tell you that you've already been submitted.
Well, the way it works with agency submissions versus public submissions, let's say I see a project, I think I'm right for it, I publicly submit myself. Then my agent sees the project and says Mike's good for that and submits me to it, then that'll trump my public submission and it'll just become one submission, and then the agent becomes the owner of that submission.
Oh,
Okay.
didn't know that. That's
So when you actually get an audition, it will go directly
To
to
the
the agency.
agent.
Yeah.
So once you have made your selections, let's say for the first initial call,
Great.
then they get
Well, I can go to schedules right
Okay.
here. And I can do a new schedule. And I select my project, which would be Project X.
you got a lot
here
of
we go.
projects.
Oh, sorry.
These are also all fake projects. It's
all fake projects.
Let's select it Wednesday the 21st. This would be an audition and not a callback. This will be my room number 1. I'll build time frames. And I probably think we only selected one mom or 3 dads. But very simple here. We'll build the time frames. And once we go into the next window, I'll select my role. There's 2 moms and 4 dads, so we'll select 2 moms. I'm going to do 1 talent starting at 9:30 every 10 minutes. This is fine. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another role because in this time frame, I'm going to select dad as well, one, every 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and calculate right here because I'm going to bring in a dad with a mom. You can calculate right here on the calculate button right there. Because I want the dad to come in with the mom. So I will select them together. There are projects where I also have kids and so forth, and I'll select 2 kids to come with the mom and dad. If there's interaction that the director wants to see on camera, I want the mom and dad at the table, feeding the kids dinner, talking about how the day was. That's the action. So that's how I will schedule them.
To follow up with that, so does
You
it
can get saved.
put
Sorry.
a wrench in it if an actor needs to change their time, especially if you have
It
something?
doesn't put a wrench in this part of the system. But basically what we'll go through is we'll fine tune at the end of the day. We'll see who've actually who's confirmed for their audition and who's not and who's unconfirmed. So we'll take those unconfirmed slots and I can go back through and do another schedule and confirm people within those unconfirmed times so that I make sure on my end that my schedule is tight and that I'm not kind of sitting around waiting for
That's
Now,
anything else.
sometimes when we do get those time slots, let's say that time doesn't work for us.
You can contact your agent, or if you publicly submit it and you're getting the email, I'm sure there's an email followed through with the casting company that you just email right back. There is dialogue that you can have with us, and we can give you a time frame. Because most of the time, if I'm doing like mom and dad, I'm doing moms and dads all day long.
Yeah.
I start at 10 a.m. and I end at 6. So if you're coming in for mom and dad, I do usually have a time frame for that.
Right. So if you think it might not work for you, just right away, sooner the better. Just let you
Is
know.
there a time frame for this project?
how much
Yeah.
do y'all frown at that? On that?
I don't. I mean, it's life.
Yeah.
Right. It's
You have
and it's a
3
day
4
or-
auditions a day.
Yeah.
And there's a bulk of time that I allot. Most of the time, there's a bulk of time that I allot for that, or sometimes just 3 hours out of the day. So you need to be to me between 10 and 12. I'm not seeing any more moms and dads after 12 noon. So then you can go to your other schedule throughout the day and reschedule whatever it is that you personally need to reschedule. But it's an awesome system, and this is how I use it. And glad Mike was able to join us today and kind of walk us through things that I didn't know. But
Such an in-depth process.
But this makes it so simple and streamlined. It kind of does a lot of the work for
well,
you.
when
and
you
it's-
have 5,000 to go
that's
through,
what I mean. Yeah.
I'll come back for it.
for part 2. Well, what I like about seeing this process is that we're able to see what you see when everyone submits, and then kind of go through your process of like, okay, this is what I'm looking for. These are the people who submitted, and then going through and selecting those people to come in and audition for that. So thank you very much for coming in and showing that process. And
Thank you for having me again, guys.
Yeah, I
thanks,
know
Chad.
it was.
I
kind
was
of
so
quick,
interested. I
but-
was like,
yeah.
my face the whole time was like,
No, it's definitely something that just it's crazy because I did start in this business over 10 years ago. So to kind of see the progression of what a company like this has taken this casting level to, it's a
changed
whole
the
nother
game,
world.
huh?
Oh, definitely.
Now, but before we leave, are there, just to kind of
For the
close
best.
us out and wrap us up, are there any tips that you can give when submitting for projects on casting networks? Are there any tips that you can give to actors to make sure that they're submitting the proper things and that they have the right things listed for when they're submitting for a particular project?
Anything that you could state that you do and you do it very well. From 1 to 10, if you're at least a 7, put it on there. If you've only kayaked once, you're not a kayaker. Please don't put that.
the skating always gets you.
And then just make sure you have
once you went ice skating in middle school.
2, 3 really great headshots. And I prefer in this day and age, anything that's really shot outdoors, I think gives such a natural feel and such a warmth to an actor that we're able to kind of mold you into any character that we see fit. Anything indoors just looks a little dated these days. But and you know what? You're only hearing from one casting director. But
Yeah.
I
Actually,
prefer
we've
nice
heard like a
warm
lot of them have
shots.
said
Yeah.
that
are
outside.
outside.
Outside, it's better.
Yeah.
But you'd prefer
I want to see every
things.
freckle. I want to see, every eyebrow hair. I'm very into character. So
It's crazy how you're saying 3 pictures, and you know how you pay so much.
You do, but some of those-
I know it's $10 a picture, but it's like that's a lot for each picture, And
No, I think it's
people don't
25
wanna-
plus
you don't
15
have
for each
to
audition,
limit
right?
yourself.
God, it is.
you don't have to limit yourself. It just can, It's up to what you do, what you have. If you're a mom, but you can also be kind of a sexy model. Do you have any of those different types of shots that are going to sell you in different aspects of any possible breakdown that
It
comes
sounds
out.
like the message we hear from you and other casting directors is it's less is more to an extent when it comes to headshots. It's not like give me every single photo of you that's ever been taken. It's not helpful to put
not
so
every
many.
photo.
But like you keep saying 3, maybe 4, but not 10.
I'd say
not
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
10 if you if there's a portfolio.
And they're really different.
And if I'm working on a fashion job, I definitely want to see more. It gets
It's a little tricky.
It is a little tricky.
It's
So
a-
do what you feel
Yeah.
you need to do to
Just
market
have a
yourself.
really, really great thumbnail headshot, and you're
Yeah.
gonna get in the room.
Perfect. Well, Mike, I know that we didn't utilize you as much in this, but I would love to bring you back to just discuss how to build your profile on casting networks and kind of
sure.
walk us through the steps and things like that.
Definitely, yeah,
So,
have me back.
yeah, that would be great. Well, before we head out, let's find out where you can find us on all social medias. We'll start with Lee.
You can find me at
Michael.
You could say either, Tony. You can call me whatever you want. You can find me at Lee M. Epstein on Twitter and Instagram.
You can find me at just Lina Green on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook.
And where should they follow you?
Bach Creative Facebook or bachcreative.com.
And if they have any questions about Casting Network, where can they find that information?
He's like, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, you can just go to our website, which if you're in LA is lacasting.com, or if you're in SF, it's sfcasting.com, or if you're in the United States, it's castingnetworks.com. And there's a whole bunch of contact info on there for you to get in touch with us.
Perfect.
They're very easy to get
You
in
don't
touch
have a
with.
Twitter. Gosh.
I'm pretty sure Mike doesn't want to list his.
We need your
There's going to be
help.
all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And of course, you guys can find me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Lounging with Tony, or on my website, loungingwithtony.com. Thank you so much, Chad.
Thank you.
For coming on. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mike, for
This
coming
is
on as well.
awesome.
And we will see you guys for another The Casting Call on February 2nd. Until then, keep your dreams alive.
Is that the new sign off?
So, it's so appropriate for the day.
Yeah, it is. I felt like that was appropriate.
Totally.
And there we go. Into the world you go.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.